And we are live. Welcome, one and all, to our episode 5 of our podcast, Becoming a Happy Teachers. I am your host, Venice Irving, and it is a pleasure to come to you from beautiful, sunny Jamaica. So, wherever you are in the world, welcome. So, thanks for joining us. Today, we will be talking about a very important topic on self care for single women, single mothers, single teachers. So make sure that you stay tuned for the entire program. This is part one, and of course, next week we'll come with part two. So, for those persons who are tuning in through the British Council organization, welcome, welcome. We love having you on board. For those who are streaming in through Happy Teachers, a platform that we have, welcome, welcome. For those who are on YouTube, subscribe right now. And those who are following us on anchor.fm and all the podcast platforms, remember to follow us and subscribe along the way. So today we have our special guest who will be speaking to us on the topic self-care for single mothers. Her name is Miss Louise Brown, and she is the CEO of Wisdom Infused Living. Welcome, Louise, to our platform. We are so happy to have you today.
Thank you, Venice. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here.
Good to have you, Louise. So, the first thing I'm going to do, Louise, is to give you the platform and just to ask you to introduce yourself. Tell us, who is Louise Brown?
Well, I I am the mother of one overly extroverted 10-year-old child who
Mm-hmm.
thinks that she runs her own life.
Yes.
I am, as Betty said earlier, I'm the founder and CEO of Wisdom Infused Living, which
Mm-hmm.
is a training, mentorship, and support organization offering spiritual and personal growth, development training, especially for single mothers and young people.
All
That's
right.
basically what I'm doing now.
Right. So, Louise, tell me, how did you come up with this idea of starting Wisdom Infused Living?
But this is an interesting thing. Wisdom infused living came about during a time when I took a break from
Mm-hmm.
organizational work.
Mm-hmm.
I I felt I was working after 7 years of working for the same institution. I felt it was time for a break. I didn't feel like I was living my purpose. And so when Holy Spirit told me, hey, take a break, I obeyed. And during the time when I was away from full time employment, I began delving more into the book of Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I gained so much wisdom. Wisdom was one of the things that I was actually praying for. And I gained so much wisdom during those 30 days of just going through the book of Proverbs. And it was from then that the whole idea of wisdom infused living was birthed. And ever since 2019, that is about October 2019, but it
Mm-hmm.
was only recently that we launched, that we became public in April of this year.
All right. So that would mean that you have some personal experience about getting burnt out on the job and needing self-care strategies, right?
Well, if you want to put it that way, but I wouldn't term it as burnt out. I
Mm,
just reached a point in my life when I felt like what I was doing was not giving me satisfaction.
right,
So it was more that than burnt out. And yes, it was also a time when I felt that I needed more time with my daughter.
right.
So those were the two things that actually motivated me to take a break from organizational work.
All right. Another question before we delve into what we are talking about, which is self-care for single mothers.
Mhm.
Was there the component of fear? Was fear a factor when you wanted to step out and do something new? Did you have that fear of doing something new? And if you did, how did you overcome that?
Fear of the unknown definitely was there. You know, when you have security, job security, I mean, ever since I know myself, I have been working or someone
Right.
has been taking care of me. And so here I was, though, when I hit the big 4-0, I
Yes.
decided that, oh my gosh, I needed some change in my life. And
Right.
so here I was now too old to be taken care of by my parents. So that the fear of not knowing how things will work out
Mm-hmm.
after the bank account or the bank, yes, after the bank account, the savings would have been depleted. So that was
Mm-hmm.
the biggest fear that I had.
All right. And how did you push yourself to overcome that? Any tips? Because we do have single mothers who, like you, have come to a roadblock or a crossroads in their life when they need to make some choices.
Mhm.
They just don't feel as if their life's purpose is being fulfilled. Let's just put it that way. And they would like to maybe go on another route, maybe some passion that they have burning inside of them, but the fear of the unknown has been stopping them. So, what tips can you give to our single mothers today to overcome those fears?
I can only I share with you how I overcame it because
Mm-hmm.
I was convinced that I was following the leading of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I went with that. I just found ways to develop my faith. I
Right.
had to trust God. And not only that, but I pulled on how He would have led me in the past. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I became pregnant and I was in a foreign country and I had quit my job before after becoming pregnant. And I remember that it was God who sustained us during those times. And we often hear that, the only thing we have to fear is if we forget how God would have led us in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things, one of the thoughts that kept me throughout the process. I kept remembering how he took care of my daughter and I, being a single parent in a foreign country,
Mm-hmm.
and that kept me motivated me, and I just I lived on that.
Right. And you stepped out in faith. And here you are,
Here
CEO
I
of
am.
Wisdom Infused Living. All right.
That's
So we're
right.
going right into the questions now. So, how can single mothers avoid burnout? We've talked about the different things. We talked just now, and you said, well, you didn't experience burnout, but you do have single mothers, single teachers who are experiencing burnout because of that, that schedule that just keeps on going, going, going. How can they avoid the burnout?
Well, one of the things that I do is to set schedule. I
Mm-hmm.
write schedule and I'm still learning how to follow them to the T.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I have schedules to
Right.
govern every aspect of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the things that has really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I take time for meditation in the mornings.
Right.
The hours, even though I say I have schedule and sometimes I don't follow it, but there is one part of my schedule that nothing interferes with, and that's my morning meditation.
All
If
right.
I don't get up before my daughter in the
Mm-hmm.
morning and take time to get power and strength from God, listen to me, it's mayhem in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
those critical hours, 4:30, 5:30, between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning, I try to get up and get those quiet hours in just for Bible study, for prayer, and for meditation. And of course, to set the pace for the day, the
For the day.
activities that I would follow throughout the day.
Okay. All right. And what are the signs of persons that know that are going through burnout? Say that I am working at a school and I have a friend, but that friend is always cranky and always, it's just snapping at people. They're not easy to get along with. They're always complaining at the principal's office. The teachers don't like them. The parents don't like them. And the students don't like them. What do they do? How can we now figure out if this person is burnt out or not? What are the signs?
Well, we could easily say that the person is burned out, and it could
Mhm.
actually be just the person's personality. But let's look at burnout.
That's
And,
true.
and but yes, it's one of the signs for
Mhm.
me when I know that I need to really just take a break. go into my room, lock the door, and just take a break is when I find myself becoming easily angered. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter will just say something to me, and I'm not really, it doesn't have to be offensive, but I will
Right.
just snap at her. And I'm
Right.
like, you need some TLC.
Mm-hmm.
Something is going on, something is not right somewhere. And so that is one of the signs for me.
Okay, so I
Also,
want to I want you to stick a pin. So you're saying then that when you yourself are feeling a bit irritated, I mean we all get irritated every now and again, but when you find that
right.
you're getting easily irritated and that you're getting, as we would say in the Caribbean, we're getting miserable with nothing pleases us,
No,
and we
right.
start to complain a lot, and we're not getting along with people and we're getting easily frustrated. We as teachers, as single mothers, as single parents, need to have that red light in our head
Take
to
that
say,
as yes.
aha, this is my sign that I need to step back and go away on vacation, or go and get 24 hours sleep, maybe sleep for the whole day, or maybe
That
you
could
need a
just be it.
massage, or
Or
maybe you
just a
need
cup of
to,
tea,
maybe a cup of tea, just to maybe read a book,
a long
whatever.
bath,
Or, Louise, and we're going to talk more about this, or just exercise. Because as
or just
we're going to talk
exercise.
about soon, exercise has
Hmm.
a lot to do with our mental health, right? But
Yes,
very important point you just made, Louise, that I wanted to stop and just emphasize. We ourselves must know how to read our own body signals to know when we need to stop and take a break. All right, continue.
right. So we were talking about. No, I lost my track, my
You're
train of
single.
thought.
You were talking about burnout, and you were talking about when you are burnt out, you find that you're easily irritated and easily frustrated sometimes, and you can take a step back and take care of yourself.
I'm trying to remember the second one. Oh, yes. So the next thing is also when I find that I'm not following my schedule. When
Mm-hmm.
I'll begin to wake up late.
Mm-hmm.
So my body will need additional rest. So I would have missed
Right.
my 2 hours between
Right.
4:30, 6:30 in the morning. I would miss that schedule, and that tend to throw everything off for the day. So when I find that I am missing my schedule, then
Mm-hmm.
yes, we don't get enough sleep. I find
Right.
that I'm missing my schedule, then I'm realizing again that but something is happening. I need to just step back. I need to take a break. I need to maybe just change the schedule,
Mm-hmm.
because it
And
could be
get
that I
enough
have gotten
rest.
so accustomed to this. And of
Right.
course, get enough rest, right?
Right.
We need at least 6 hours per sleep each night. And when we
Right.
don't get that essential sleep, we don't function well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's a teacher or a mother or any other professional, we are going to suffer. Our work is going to suffer. Our
Mm-hmm.
relationship is going to suffer. So we really need to take the time to understand what is actually happening and
Mm-hmm.
then treat the cause. So it could be enough sleep. It could be that we're not even feeding ourselves, eating properly.
Yeah.
That could be, it could be that we're not even drinking enough water,
Mm-hmm. So
right?
diet has a lot to
So
do with it.
absolutely.
All
So
right.
those are two of the main things for me.
All right. What about when teachers are they are having their schedule, they do classes, they're finished for the day with class, but guess what? That doesn't mean that they're not working, right? After working hours, they still have to mark papers. They still have to write attendance reports. They still have to do supervisor's report. Still have to answer the call to the principal, answer the call to their supervisors or the grade school coordinator. You know how it is. They still have to attend PTA meetings and go to school activities, prize giving, and all of that. So, how do now they find time for themselves, especially when they are single mothers or single parents?
Which is what I was about to say, because that is just the work aspect. These
Mhm.
same teachers now who are single parents, they have to go home and cook the meals. They
Right.
have to go home and help their own children. with their assignment if they have
Mhm.
school age children,
Mhm.
right? And they have to take time for themselves. And
Mhm.
usually, what you find happen, well, which is usually what happened to me, is that I take the time to care for the needs of my child and to care for members of my household, and then
Right.
I'm the one who get neglected. There's never enough time for me. So you find that I don't go to the hairdresser as often as I would like. I don't really take that long bath. I'm just taking quick showers. I drink my
Mhm.
cold or lukewarm, insipid instead of hot, nice and hot, right? I don't
Mhm.
really take time for massage or pedicure, those things, even to exercise.
Mhm.
So you find that what one of the things is that we really don't have time for ourselves because of the
Mhm.
various demands. And God forbid if you have church activities that you have
Oh.
to, you're in charge of, say, a particular
Yes.
department or activity at church and
Mhm.
community engagement. So
Mhm.
when those things happen, you find that obviously, then the single parent worker will obviously experience burnout.
All right, and that's very important point that you just raised because why? We as mothers tend to put everybody else first and ourselves last.
Mhm.
We take care of everybody else and ourselves last. And what happens to is if we don't take care of persons, children, or maybe the person that you're dating or your co-workers, colleagues, or other family members, if you're not
Mhm.
there present for them, sometimes they turn around and put the blame on you. You
Of
weren't
course.
here for me. You didn't take care of me. You're not taking care of your child. You're out here getting a massage when the child needs you right now to help you with homework.
The
What
guilt, the
kind of mother
guilt.
are you? So then after that blame game is being made, you now start to feel guilty. So, what tips can we give to our teachers, to our single mothers, to, you know, avoid that guilt? And if they do have the guilt, to unload that guilt by the sideway and move forward free from any cares. What kind of tips can we give to them now?
I would recommend scheduling because
Mm-hmm.
once you work with a schedule, you'll take the time to balance the activities that
Mm-hmm.
you have, to the responsibilities that you have to take care of. So you
Mm-hmm.
will ensure that the children get sufficient time. Work gets its allotted time, which you really can't touch that, right? That is fixed basically. Your spouse or other
Mm-hmm.
family members would get some of your time. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
you would also get to apportion some time for you,
Right.
right? So instead of just caring for all of those in the household or all the responsibilities that you have, you know, take the time to be deliberate in putting aside some time just for yourself. That's my recommendation.
Is this a time where you can just haphazardly choose every week, every day, or do you recommend a set time that the person chooses every week, for example, and that they guard that time very, privately to let people know this is my time and unfortunately I can't take a meeting right now, unfortunately I can't go to the movies with you right now, or unfortunately I can't go to PTA right now because this is my time. What say you?
I For me, I do it daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends on the individual. But yes, we must set up those boundaries. As I was saying to you earlier, between 4:30 and 6:30, nothing, no matter what is happening around me, no one is
Mm-hmm.
disturbing those hours, right?
Right.
In the evening, no, I have time set aside for my daughter. You don't call me between certain times in the evening and you're gonna get me because that is my daughter's time, right?
That's it.
So we have to set those boundaries. We have to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And we have to be disciplined about it and just
Mm-hmm.
stick with it. Be intentional and understand that I'm going to just mark this time out for this specific purpose and nothing else. Well, we're not talking about the emergency cases that we have to
Right.
handle,
Right.
but don't let anything else interfere with the time that you have apportioned for those activities.
All right. And I would also like to add for persons that have more than one children, right? For persons with two, three, even four kids or more, how do they um, spend time and still take the time out for themselves? So you're going to spend time with your children in the family. Like Louise says, you can have a daily time where you spend an hour with them together doing some form of activity, whether it's a dinner time to eat, homework time together, but find some time every day to spend together with the entire family. And then every week or every month or every fortnight, you can have a date night with each of your children and try to give those children, each child rather, their individual time. So set a date night with your son, set a date night with your daughter, wherever that may be. And they can choose the place to go if they want to go to Devon House for ice cream. That's the local ice cream shop here in Jamaica. Or
Right.
if they want to go to the park to have a picnic with you, you schedule that every 2 weeks, every month, depending on the time that you have. And you can do a 2 hour to 3 hour session with that one child where you just talk because you don't want any child to get lost within the family. You know, we don't want any child to get lost within the family. All right. And the last thing I have to say regarding if you feel guilty, many family members, friends, and colleagues tend to want to blame single mothers if they see they're not doing a good job. You know, generally they blame parents on a whole, but if you're a single mother, you tend to get more blame than normal. So my suggestion would be the first thing is to check your mental health and to ensure that
Mhm.
you are not taking on anybody's opinions in your mind and wearing them as a bag or as an accessory on you. Take off people's opinions, take
Mhm.
off people's priorities, and stick to what you know. If you
And
did something and you made a mistake, hey, tomorrow is another day. You can change. You can, make up for those mistakes and never forget to say, I'm sorry. Let your daughter, son know that this is still a work in progress. You're still trying to figure it out. So, but the first thing you should do is unload that baggage of people's opinions, what they think you should do, where they think you should go, and how they think you should be raising your child. Yes, Louise?
you talk about unloading, but I'm recommending that you don't even take it on because every family is different. And
Mm-hmm.
the strategies that may work for another single parent family may not work
Not
for
work for
you
you.
because
Mm-hmm.
every family situation is different. So,
Absolutely.
yes, folks are going to talk, but you, the individual, you have to learn how not to internalize what other people
Mm-hmm.
say, not to take every recommendation as your own, because
Mm-hmm.
each situation is different. So you have to know your children. You have to know their personalities. You have to know their love
Absolutely.
language. You have to know, and understand the
Mm-hmm.
level of socialization, your individual family backgrounds and the tendencies, etc. So you now use all of those to evaluate your situation and then choose the best strategy for your family. Not every
Absolutely.
advice that you hear from individuals will work for your family. You have to be wise and
Mm-hmm.
assess, yes, assess the
Absolutely.
advice, and then you can tweak it, adjust it, and make it work for you. But it doesn't always work the same
All
for
right.
everybody.
And then we come to a point sometimes where we become constantly overwhelmed because we are constantly taking on people's opinions. We have so many things to do. We don't schedule well. So therefore, all the balls are in the air. You know, those people that juggle balls and there are five, six, seven balls in the air and you're trying to juggle. When in truth and in fact, you can only juggle two, but
Mm-hmm.
you have extra ones juggling and you're stressed out. And eventually you lose control and the balls will all fall on the ground. So when you feel constantly overwhelmed, what are some tips that we can give to our teachers, single mothers, to help them to kind of get over that feeling of overwhelmness, I guess. Hmm.
The first thing I'll recommend is mastering the art of saying no. Learn to say no
I'm giving
and
that a round of
mean it.
applause.
And mean it. Say no. Don't be afraid to say no to your principal because you cannot take on another responsibility. And I know that sometimes we get intimidated because this is my
Yes.
superior I am talking to, but understand that you have additional responsibilities at home as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and plus, listen to me, this pandemic has made it so much more difficult on teachers. I'm not in the classroom, but based on what I see happening, when my child started out in the first term and I saw what was happening and what teachers were taking on, I'm like, how do they manage their own homes along with all that they're doing for our children? So teachers will need to understand to say no to the family member, no even to the spouse at times. And I don't
That's
mean
true.
no for that, but no, that is not my business. But
Uh-huh.
yes, you got to learn to say no because
Mm-hmm.
of you don't try to take on too many things and then not having the time or the ability to complete the
Mm-hmm.
activity in a manner that is effective. Let's put it that
Right.
way, because
Right.
you don't want to neglect your children. The last thing you want to have is a complaining child, a
Mm-hmm.
child who feels that he or she is neglected. Yes, you don't want that at all. Yes, you want the job and you want to get the task completed, but at the same time, learning to say no to keep that balance, that equilibrium in your
Mm-hmm.
life, the lives of your loved ones and your coworkers, and the employer, then that is what I would recommend. Just mastering the art of saying no.
All right, so I also have some tips for the teachers, single
Mhm.
teachers, single mothers who are feeling constantly overwhelmed. The first thing I would say is speak to your child or children that you have. They know it's you alone. They know there's no one else helping you at this point. Um, and therefore, let them know. Set up your schedule in front of them, let them
That
know
would
what
work
your schedule
well.
is. And then they put up their schedule for school, and so everyone sees their schedule, and put it on a nice notice board that is in the hallway or in your living room where everybody comes in and can see. And we have a family meeting and we talk about when we can meet together as a family, when we can meet, when you guys can have your own me time, because each child want their own me time also. And then when
Absolutely.
do I have my me time? And you mentioned earlier, Louise, before we started this recording, that you have a set sleep time, a bedtime for your child. Have a set
Right.
bedtime. If the bedtime is 8 o'clock, everybody must agree 8 o'clock is bedtime. So by 7:30 every night, we start prepping for bed, because by 8 o'clock everybody should be in bed. And then you
Right.
can say to yourself, between 8 and 10, which is a 2 hour window, that's my time to relax. That's my time to plan for the next day so that I don't feel overwhelmed, because planning is very important. And that's my time to just decompress. All right, so
Right.
that's tip number one. Number two, I would like to say, is go on vacation by yourself. Now, if you don't have support, say you don't have a mom who can help you at this point, or you don't have a grandma that you can drop the kids off at, or there's no auntie or uncle. Now, this may be a bit of a stretch because you may not have anyone that you can just drop them off at. But if you do have supportive family members, an aunt, an uncle, your mom or your dad, whoever it is, that you can say, take them for the weekend. Or if there's a long holiday, take them for the holiday. And you can go on your own vacation. Budget for it. Check yourself into a hotel all by yourself. Go to the beach, swim, eat at the buffet, enjoy yourself all by yourself. So that is one tip that I was given when I first got married, that we should have
Date
vacation
night.
with all
Yes.
the family, with all kids together with family, and then have a vacation separately from the kids. It's either you by yourself or you with your spouse separately. So that's another tip that I would give for the single mothers, the single teachers, if you can. If you can. All right, so we are at our halfway mark,
Before you
and
go
we
to
are, yes,
halfway,
go
I would
ahead,
like
go
to
ahead.
listen to me. I would like to add
Mm-hmm,
that managing technology is
mm-hmm,
another way to avoid feeling overly, constantly overwhelmed.
mm-hmm.
In our house, what I do is at 8:30, right, a certain time every night, we turn off the internet because
Right,
we need the internet and its impact on sleep patterns. We need
right.
time before bedtime to get that internet just to, what is the word, unwind from
Unwind.
all of the technology, the overwhelm
Mm-hmm.
technology. Because listen to me, this constant beeping and constant texting, and whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook or Zoom or
YouTube.
StreamYard or
Mm-hmm,
YouTube, whatever it is
mm-hmm.
constant now. And
Yeah,
because of the pandemic, you find that we're using technology more often than not. And so that in itself adds to the overwhelm. So
right.
learn how to just take a break from that. Talk about vacation. That may be what you need every week,
Thank
just
you
to
so much. You
detox.
just gave me an idea of what I can do to my son. Just turn off the internet.
Oh yes,
That's
detox.
exactly what I shall be doing starting tonight. All right, so that is part one. Thank you so much, Louise Brown. Please, guys, please keep us here, keep it locked here as we will do part two next week. We're going to be talking about the same topic, self care tips and self care strategies for single mothers and single teachers. So until then, I thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next episode. Bye bye.